Okay, today I'm going to present about a study of the design of teaching and learning instructional using backward design. This study is about education and on how to make students more having more understanding about their contents. Basically, in recent education, various education countries and institutions are more discussing about nurture their competencies. Competency is more like an ability and to perform than just memorizing knowledge. So students are supposed to have ability to understand, apply, and sometimes create knowledge. Need to do that to adapt themselves in a very complex current society. In this discussion, big ideas and understanding by design and backward design like that are main discourses in education field. So the purpose of this study is to design learning instruction based on UDD, and a big idea and about backward design. To do this, on this study review, we use a McTighe concept of understanding and backward design model and a little bit of Erickson's model of knowledge skills, procedure knowledge, something like that. And finally, this study is designed the exemplary learning instructions based on these theories. So let's start with the introduction. Recently, OECD, which developed core competence concept from 1997, the project of the circle, recently published Learning Compass 2030. We call it 2030. Summarizing the result of Education 2030. The Education 2030 project defined concept of competence as ability to mobilize knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values to use their skills for their complex needs. The discourse on future education now is more focused on big ideas and that have more complementary relations between core competencies. In many countries, school education is designed along the core competency and the students need to survive in the future society. A distinctive feature of this curriculum design is the selection and organization of learning contents around big ideas, not just the small things. With the same idea in Korea, the 2015 curriculum is oriented towards happy learning by improving quality of learning experience. And this also means that paradigm shift from knowledge-based education to happy education. To this end, learning contents were structured around the core concept, not just the small things. In addition, understanding was emphasized rather than fragmentation knowledge. Thus, key concepts have been introduced to provide meaningful learning and optimize the amount of learning. In other words, less teach, learn more. In education, 2015 focused on developing practical skills beyond simply acquiring knowledge. In addition, curriculum attempt cooperative learning and discussions. When we're looking at the document, but that curriculum not just interest core competence, but the contents learning curriculum focus more on knowledge and skills. Achievement standards are created by combining knowledge and skills. Even though there are some differences between subjects, most subjects have a similar document format. The most important aspect of this format was to capture core competencies and generalize knowledge of each topic. This is not to teach a lot of knowledge, but to teach well. In order to do that, it was necessary to reduce learning contents. Here, it is important not to unconditionally reduce, but to leave only the content necessary to understand for core concepts. To this end, the goal of education must be changed based on understanding rather than memorizing. What are your education models for understanding? What study guides can you create based on them? This is research questions. Here's a background. Understanding means more than just knowing things like fact, knowledge, and skills. Understanding is the process of abstractions that gives meaning to individual knowledge performed by human intelligence, and is the interference that creates meaning from individual elements of knowledge. So here, what gives meaning to knowledge is to see the relationship between knowledge and other things. In other words, this begins with McTighe said, understanding can be seen as creating meaning by associating object of understanding with other things beyond knowing the context object to be understood. Understanding can be divided into knowing and being able. Classes can have different goals. Firstly, students need to know about worth being familiar with. And second, students also need to know about important things to know and do. And foremostly, they are supposed to do what understand about enduring understanding. And this is here's some examples. For first one, using concept of compass, knowing about concept of theology, and as a second example, they need to know about knowledge of circles and for society communities, and eventually they are in need of know and use and understand about using pie graph to understand how human life progresses and to have a historical understanding of the community. So here's a circles that are 3 dimensions of understanding. Thus, understanding is multidimensional and complex, and there are many factors, facets of understanding. So, a variety of aspects of generating meaning by bringing the object of understanding to each other's. Ways and McTighe present here various of aspects of this understanding by classifying them into explanation, expression, interpretation, application, perspective, empathy, and self-knowledge. They make how they make what some distinguish and classification of not just knowledge but also have an understanding. There is a levels, and it's like a levels. The lower level from explanation to high level to self-knowledge. People usually think that they have levels when we discuss about the knowledge of structure of knowledge. Already we have knowledge about Bruner's theory, and we know that knowledge have structures that, so in a low level, there may a lot of facts, and when the facts were gathered into some topics, we call it a topic. And topic can have a lot of concepts. Concept 1, concept 2, concept 3. One topic, there might be a lot of concepts there. And when you gather the concepts, a lot of concepts, we need to explain what are causes and factors. and things like what happened, why it happens. We want to explain about the relationship between concepts that we call the principles. This is theory. Usually people think that only structure of knowledge, but more recently, scholars are insisting of there are also theory of procedures, not just about knowledge of something like effects. It includes skills, strategies, process. Like when we interfere with some effects, we are using our skills or strategies to interfere the fact that was not in here, but in our mind. We interfere the concepts by using our strategy. But people usually don't know about that. But it also has their levels. When you first get into the interfere skills, we can apply to others, other facts that we also have their skills. So that might be also be categorized into one concepts. We call it a concepts and two concepts. And this concept also can be categorized into may have their relationships among them concepts, and we call it a theory. So the former one was theory about structure of knowledge, and the later one we called it about procedural knowledge. In here, it is also to know about knowledge of structures, but you also think of procedural knowledge as a very important to have our understanding and to have our competence to live in our complex society. So here's a backward design model template. And the distinctive feature of this template has they have 3 steps. And the first step is to set goal as desired result. And the second step is about assessment of evidence. The evaluation plan consists of perform, and the performance task design model is graphs model. And the performance task learner have a goal in a situation that can apply to real life, take loads while considering a specific audience, and create products according to the standards. It should include the processing of crate also. The last step is to plan the class with a learning plan, and this is considered well too. Here too is an abbreviation of elements to be considered in teaching method. This includes goals and reasons for learning, attention, knowledge and tools, reflection and modification, opportunity to evaluate achievement, individualized class compositions, and content organizations. According to this model, this study made an exemplary instruction model, instruction samples using social study music. So this study developed a sample, and according to backward design, we need to focus on what is desired result as a first step. And so we thought about students living in multicultural society. They need to understand the background, the formation of society, and be able to find ways to cope with them others. So the main things students need to understand are here. So it's important for students to understand why multicultural society have come through. And by understanding that, it is necessary to understand the characteristics of what is multicultural society, modern society, identify problems and find a solution. They also need to learn how to interact with the children from multicultural families. And so it can be extracted from multicultural concept and from our curriculum. So achievement standards can be here. And this model is too detailed to explain here. So if you are interested in this model, you can find in this my articles later to be published hopefully. So this model has 3 or 4 pages. Okay. In summary, it is important. The conclusion is here again. Recent education avoids mere memorizations of knowledge, as mentioned earlier. And this is in line with the direction of core competence education, not only in OECD, but also in various countries. Core competence education can be implemented education for understanding. The 2015 curriculum in Korea also aims to deepen students' understanding. For this, it is necessary to define the content of the curriculum, and in-depth discussion is needed on that access that is the basis for organizing content. This study applied the theory of education for understanding as one of this discussion, and the commonality of various theories related to understanding and are summarized in to follow what content should be structured in a way that avoids fragmented knowledge and pursues in-depth understanding. This is the principle closely related to the understanding of education and backward design. So we dig into backward design and found that and backward design aims to help students learn big ideas. Using this model, teacher can first set a big idea of what students need to understand and then organize the lesson by developing activities they can do. Therefore, it is effective to use methods suggesting the backward design as a method of organizing and designing the content. So this study, I tried to learn content of a curriculum was constructed through the backward design, and through this exemplary structural design, the universal meaningful learning was proposed here. An important point in backward design is that when describing desired result, the teacher should set goals for the student to have a lasting understanding, enduring understanding of concept or procedure. This requires teachers to explain what they need to understand and identify basic problems. It should also explain what proposition knowledge and procedure knowledge are. Assessment plans are also created based on the tasks students are exposed to perform. And to properly gather this evidence, teachers need to present about cohesive action plan, including goals and circumstances and rules like grasps. Finally, the learning plan records the various activities students can perform. Students' activities are based on understanding of knowledge rather than just a simple performance. That the result of performance must be return of knowledge. There need to be cycle. Specific knowledge must be related to the higher level concept, rather like larger idea, big ideas, which must link to other generation and specific one to transferring knowledge in the new context. So summarizing is that one sentence. In current society, just not memorizing knowledge is not just important. So we need to understand. We all agree about that. And here, there are theories about what is understanding and how we can get it. And we are let mention it, and some theories are more focusing on is how to make it easier to make a understanding curriculum. So example was backward, and I introduced it and used it to develop some exemplary instructions guidance. So if you are willing to join this understanding, using this model is make you have more comfortable things, make your work more comfortable. And to know about this model, hopefully this to be published in the article, and the result of we not to share it. Okay, thank you for listening.